Hello techies. Welcome to our brand new video series focused on helping you get the most of your experiences in life. Before we start the video, let's know about UpTalk. UpTalk is a live, interactive platform for software training, furnishing robust personalities who could take on universal business platforms.
You may have to. Each customer may do it differently, right? Each customer may have their own configuration set up. And nowadays especially, the businesses are changing their offerings. They are giving new value-added services every now and then. So the level of subscription that a customer is in, the type of services that they have opted for, they all affect the content of the data that we are sending. So even if it's an end-to-end connector, we may have to tweak it, test it. And we may have to configure it as per our requirements. Now the difference in the customer configurations. We can accommodate that with work-based integration, templates, and mapping capability. So we have a lot of capabilities in the templates itself. We can use them and configure the system as required. So the work integration platform is quite robust and we have different tools, etc., where we can use to create the output that we need. So these are Workday connectors. So we are going to learn about the most famous one of them all. That is a core connector worker. Right. We're talking about HCM, and core connector worker happens to be the most famous connector that we need to learn about. That we need to know about in terms of Workday, HCM. So what is this core connector worker all about? What does it do? By the name itself. What do you think about this core connector worker? Is it an end-to-end connector, or is it a connector? Or a package connector, or a core connector. Is it an end-to-end connector? Is it specific for a particular third-party system or application? Or is it more generic? What do you think? It seems to be more generic, right? Yeah, it is not specific to any third-party application or service. It is very generic. That is what makes it so popular, right? So core connector worker. Now, the name itself suggests that this integration is used to export the worker data. If it exports the worker data, but does it export all worker data? No, we export only the worker data changes from Workday in simple XML format. Workday also supports the output in CSV, which is a comma-separated value format, with certain limitations. Now, as and when you make changes to the worker, like you hire a worker, you promote a worker, you transfer, you terminate, you update the worker contact information or any other data, compensation information, etc. The core connector has the capability to detect the change and generate a file containing the change. Isn't it wonderful, right? Like typically when you create an integration, when you exchange data between one system, let's say between Workday and an external system. Would you always send all the data for everything? All workers, all changes, all information. You do that. Maybe the first time you will do it where you say exchange-based and all the information. But then if you want to have a daily run, or maybe every hourly, every 2 hours, then what would you do? You will only send the changes correct. The delta 5 or the change 5. So that is why this core connector worker is typically very good at that. It is good at detecting the changes that have been made to the worker information. Now there are many sections to this. So, using those configurable data sections or the worker-delivered report fields and calculated fields that you create, you can export any worker data in any combination. That is what makes it so powerful, so versatile, and so widely used. But basically, if I ask you to summarize about Core Connector Worker, you can say that it is a packaged connector that exports the worker data changes from Workday in XML format. It is designed to work with worker data changes. Okay. Any quick questions before we move on to the next slide? About what is the connector? What is the code connector? No, all okay. All right. So, like I said, the code connector worker is very good at detecting changes, right? That is what is used for. That is its main purpose. Its objective is to detect the changes that are happening to the worker information. So how does it do that? How does it monitor the changes? How does it accurately return the changes every single time, for every single run? So it follows the change detection method. It is a very, very common interview question. I ask it all my colleagues, ask it to any candidate we are interviewing about. What is the changed? Explain the change detection process of a core connector worker. So if you are applying for an integration position, most likely they will ask you about this particular thing. Change detection of a core connector worker. So the core connector worker detects changes by monitoring a transaction log? Okay. What they has, an internal transaction log where it is monitoring or where it is storing all the transactions for different workers. Can we see it? No, we don't get to see it. But there is a transaction log that has all the information. Now, when you set up the integration system, when you configure the integration system, you may select which business processes and transactions you are going to monitor or you are going to look for, right? Because you see you are going to create an integration with Active Directory. Okay. Why are you creating it? Maybe you want to send the new hire information to Active Directory so that they are able to create the email address for the new workers, right? So what do you need? The list of workers who had compensation changes recently. No, but you need to send that to a Microsoft Active Directory to create their developers. No, right. Oh, what information would you need? Maybe you would need the worker information in terms of hire, right, whether they have been hired. Would you need information about terminations? No, yeah, you need to, yeah, why not? Yeah, maybe because if the worker is terminated, you want their accounts to be deleted. Correct. You want their accounts to be deleted? Maybe you want to send the information that, yeah, this worker is terminated. But what about, let's say, phone number change? Or maybe even a transfer to a different department. Will that change their email address? No, maybe not, right, so maybe we don't need to inform Active Directory if there is a change in the transfer. I mean if there is a transfer to a different department, correct? But if that Active Directory also has other demographic information about the worker, for example their contact information, their phone number, right? For example, their business title. For example, their job profile. If they have that information in Active Directory, then would we need to send transfer? Promotion kind of information changes as well. To ADP. Also phone number changes, address changes. Should we send that to ADP in that case? Yes. So, depending on what kind of information you are storing in the ADP system, you may have to think, okay, what transactions are we going to monitor? But typically, if you are just creating an email address, and if you want that email address to be deleted once the worker it's terminated, then you need the hire and probably the termination business process, right? So you can configure the transaction log for each integration that you create with this template, and it depends on what kind of information you are going to exchange. Right.